I'm never sure whether when I'm looking at you now like this, am I looking straight at you
Mm.
or am I looking down?
I think you're looking fairly straight, but
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
always trying to look at the lightning dot in the top of the screen where the camera is.
Yeah. So is that better if I'm looking there?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Now, I'm really pleased to be talking to Mikko Gronholm, who was a key player in the city of Helsingborg's strategic vision making and the architect effectively behind that common vision. And it's a vision for 2035. So it was more than 5 minutes away. And obviously, also a driving force between implementing it. And at that time, he was head of future, not futures, one future, the future of Helsingborg, and not the head of the past, definitely the future. Anyway, Mikko, look, the first question I want to ask you is, I came across Helsingborg a while back, and people kept on talking about it as a really innovative place. And I'd been there a long time ago, and I didn't really know what it was all about. And then I looked at your website and I suddenly saw this incredibly participative approach, collaborative approach, which said, these are the problems we're trying to address. And there were little boxes, and this is how we're trying to do it. This is where we're succeeding. This is where we're failing. Hey, how about you out there, the world? Is there anything we can learn from you? And is there anything we have that you can learn from us? Tell me a bit how that all came about.
Um, Good question. You're talking about the website that's focused on our innovation work, which is on innovation.helsingborg.se. Um, it began a number of years ago when we understood that there are so many of our challenges. First of all, that we are not alone with. Many cities share the same kind of challenges. I think that the core challenges we have in cities are basically the same in the Western world. Um, we need to plan and build cities in new ways where both the people and the environment is more prosperous, and because today cities are bad for the environment, but also you can see that people, yeah, well, when urbanization increases, you can see that mental illness decreases, and also depression and other stuff. So we knew that we need to do things differently, and we also understood that many cities share the same challenges, but we also saw that cities are actually quite bad on collaborating and working together, both between cities, but also between the public sector and the private sector and the academia. So we started to discuss about how should we do this in a better way. So, and always I think that when you have a challenge, you have to start with yourself and ask yourself, how can we do this differently? And what we saw was that first of all, we needed to create a much more innovative, friendly culture throughout the organization, throughout all employees at the city of Helsingborg. So we are more open to new ideas, more open to suggestions from the outside world. But we also needed a platform where we could co-create together. So that was basically the story behind this. And what we do is that we have on one website, we have put together the main challenges that we are facing in the city of Helsingborg, where we have opened up for others to join, to participate in trying to solve these challenges, because we know that these challenges, we are not able to do it. We can't solve them alone. We need help. And also we have on the same website, we are publishing all our innovation initiatives. I think there are about 250 at the moment, or a little bit more, where you can see which kind of innovation initiatives are ongoing, but also you can contact to know more about this initiative or collaborate with if you are in a city and you want to collaborate with Helsingborg. But also we invite the private sector and the academia to help us with this. So basically it's like an open platform where we are saying, these are the challenges, these are our innovation initiatives, please come and let's do things together. And also we have next year we will arrange a very big city expo called H22 City Expo, where we're inviting the world to join, first to see what we are doing, but also to join the discussion on how can we create smarter and more sustainable cities in the future. And it's going to be for 35 days between 30th of May and I think 5th or 6th of July. So it's an open approach. It's a philosophy and a culture.
Yeah, no, very, very interesting. Two follow-up questions on that. The first, did your employees and other people around Helsingborg feel it was okay to open up and relax and be a bit more, whatever, creative in quotes? And secondly, did you have an impact in the sense that other cities contacted you?
Yeah. Well, the first question, no. I think there are those that think this is the right thing to do, and there are those that basically ask the question: should you do this with taxpayer money? Is this a good way to use taxpayer money? But I think you have to understand that this is a process. It took a number of years before we could actually become this open. But I think that radical transparency is a prerequisite for true innovation. So you need to come to the point where you actually are radically transparent, and both with your challenges, but also with what you're doing. On the second question, yes, we have a number of other cities that we are in contact with, but also we work together in the close area around Helsingborg with a number of smaller municipalities, but also we have a very good cooperation in the greater Copenhagen area, which is a very large number of municipalities, both on the Danish and Swedish side. So, and that is like the cooperation we do within the greater Copenhagen area. But also we have contact with cities much further away. For instance, we work with the New York City mayor's office and, well, other cities as well.
No, but what I like about the fact is because we tend to think, people have thought, oh, it's the big cities where all the innovations are happening and all of that. What this proves is that it's happening in smaller cities, and it might be easier in smaller cities, and that very big world cities like New York actually want to learn from you. But when you just answered that question, that raises this other question I wanted to ask you, which was about innovation ecosystems and so on. Because, typically people think, oh, let's have a living lab and we'll just do some experiments here and then there's another one there. And there are lots of these living labs, and obviously many of them are very interesting and so on. But I get the sense that you're saying, yeah, that's fine, but how do you actually create a culture of innovation? Is that right? I mean, what's your approach vis-a-vis things like living labs?
We actually started with a kind of living lab in Helsingborg when we said that we need to focus and on innovation, and we to do something radically different. We actually started with a living lab kind of solution, but that turned out to be a quite bad solution, because what happened was that the Living Lab solution, it attracted a lot of creative people and innovative people, and it became like an organization on the side of the municipality. So it became like we and them. And they also were, I mean, the innovation, the idea, even though the ideas maybe came from the organization, the process was owned or felt to be owned by the Living Lab. So the process wasn't in the business, so to say. And now we have changed that, so we don't have a separate living lab. We have a meeting place, we have resources, we have support for all our departments, but we want the departments to own the innovation process themselves. For instance, if you're a preschool teacher and you have a pretty good idea of improving or any idea for that matter to improve your working situation or for the children, you can practically become the owner of that idea and work partly as a preschool teacher and partly as a product manager, so to say, for your innovation idea. And by doing this, you create an ownership for the innovation work throughout the organization. And you also make innovation not so mystical, but more a part of your everyday work. So we work a lot with this cultural shift. But also, I think that one of the most important things to be successful here, I think one of the biggest obstacles in turning an organization into becoming an innovative organization is actually our fear of failure. Because especially in the public sector, we are so afraid of doing a mistake or making big fails that we don't try anything new. It's better to do like we always have done, because then we don't make any mistakes. And that is, I think, the biggest obstacle in true change, in driving true change and becoming a radically different and more effective organization. So I think it's a very cultural project. Yeah.
Yes, I want to come back to that cultural project in a way, because I mean, in a sense, one way I believe you're trying to shift that culture, which is validating failure. And of course, people who fail don't start up and say, "Wow, I want to fail,"
No.
etc. That they start with good intentions. And you told me that you actually give an award. Just tell me about that. What was this award? Award
Yeah.
for
So
failure and so on. How long has it
exactly,
existed?
the failure of the year award. It is, I think it's on the fourth or fifth year. I think it's fourth year now. Well, yeah, because if you want to fight the fear of failure in the organization, you need to do a number of things. Of course, first you need to be more open about it. Then you need to train all the managers and the leaders in the organization how to become more failure expecting. Again, it's not the failure itself that is important. It's a lesson learned from the failure, and you need to learn it collectively, not
Hmm.
just on a personal level. So you need to do a number of things. And one thing you need to do is that you need to signal from the top management that it's not just okay to make mistakes. We actually expect you to make mistakes. We want you to make mistakes, but we want you to make mistakes that we can learn from, that can improve the daily work and our organization and what we do. So we came up with the idea of introducing a Fail of the Year award. We have a number of internal awards, service awards, and others. And the Failure of the Year award, you can nominate yourself or a colleague that made a really good mistake. Uh, but it's actually the lesson learned from that mistake that is awarded. And you can get up to 5,000 euros for competence building and other stuff internally. So we have a Failure of the Year award internally, yeah.
Well, you really need to be celebrated around the world for that. But I mean, so they get mentoring, or what do they get? They get sort of training, or do they spend it on
So
having lots of wine or something?
for the money, you mean? No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
earmarked. It's earmarked to improve the operation in some way. So basically,
Uh-huh.
let's say they have made a mistake that's awarded because the lesson learned is important and for the whole organization. Then you could use that money to actually implement what you have learned. So you can take it to the next level.
Well, what I find interesting about what you're talking about is this whole notion of embedding innovative thinking or creative thinking or imaginative thinking throughout the organization. Now, you worked with Helsingborg, I believe, for around 8 years. Did
Yeah.
you have you seen a sort of trajectory where you feel it's more than before? And I realize that one always has to be working on it, but have you seen a sort of change in culture in some sense?
Absolutely, definitely. I can tell you that 10 years ago, or a little less than 10 years ago, when the vision was implemented, there were a lot of colleagues that thought it was well way out and not realistic and so on. And there wasn't we didn't have an innovation culture at all, basically. And over the years, we have actually grown. It's not a parallel process. I think it's sequential because some departments are faster than others. But we have definitely seen a shift in how we perceive the importance of innovation and actually how we also work with innovation internally. So it's not just cultural; it's also systematic and structural. So both from a cultural and structural perspective, it's a change. Also, we are attracting people with totally new competencies in that we attract to the municipality that also fosters innovation throughout the organization.
Well, that's great because what I'm really hearing that is you're actually getting new skills, and Helsingborg is becoming a pole of attraction because they can
Yep.
see the sort of organization you are, more desirable than many others. So, Miko, thanks for having this conversation with me, and I hope we see each other soon.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.